What if everything you thought was a delay was actually divine choreography? What if the closed doors, the wrong turns, the stillness you mistook for silence were all leading you here, not to a dead end, but to a door you didn't even know existed? Life whispers in symbols, and when the universe moves, it rarely announces itself with thunder. It prefers the soft click of a door unlocking in your spirit. You may not recognize it at first. The familiar begins to dissolve. Things that once felt safe start to crack, and in that discomfort, you are being pulled into something bigger than comfort. You are being positioned for revelation. The universe doesn't need your permission, only your awareness. So if you felt a shift lately, if something in your soul has started leaning forward, pay attention. These are not ordinary moments. Number 1, when the universe begins opening doors you never imagined, it rarely happens the way you expect. Often it starts with disruption. The familiar begins to dissolve, and something that once felt permanent starts to shift. You may feel as though the ground beneath you is loosening, but this soft unrooting is not chaos. It's an invitation into new territory that doesn't resemble anything you've seen before. And in that space between what was and what's becoming, something strange happens. Opportunities begin to rise from places you would have never looked. You'll notice it in subtle ways. First, a chance meeting with someone who carries a message you needed to hear. A path opens that was closed just yesterday. A vision forms for something you never dared to imagine. These aren't coincidences. They are sacred alignments. The universe speaks in symbols, in arrangements, in timing too perfect to be accidental. When you start noticing the thread between moments, that's the first sign that something larger is unfolding. The doors that open during these times don't demand attention. They whisper with precision. And often, these doors don't look like opportunities at first. They might look like interruptions. A job ends. A plan falls through. A relationship shifts. But if you look deeper, you'll sense something else moving beneath the surface. What felt like a loss may actually be space being made for what's next. And what seemed like failure may be the only way for the true opportunity to find you. The unfamiliar feels uncomfortable because it's uncharted. But it's precisely there that the universe does its best work, beyond the blueprint you had for your life. You may be tempted to retreat, to cling to what is known, but the doors the universe opens won't fit your old version of self. They ask you to stretch, to grow, to trust in what you cannot yet see. These doors don't always come with guarantees, but they come with alignment. You'll feel it in your body, a calm pull, a quiet yes. When you say yes back, not because you're certain, but because you're called, that's when the door becomes a path. One step, then another, and you'll realize you didn't find the opportunity. It found you. And that's how the universe works. It doesn't open doors to lead you into something ordinary. It opens them to lead you into the version of your life you couldn't have scripted. The one built not on logic, but on destiny. When unfamiliar opportunities start appearing, when life starts feeling like it's trying to tell you something you've never heard before, pause. Listen. That may just be the sound of a door unlocking in the unseen, waiting for you to walk through. Number 2, once you begin to follow those unfamiliar opportunities, once you step toward the door the universe has subtly placed before you, something even more surprising begins to happen. Resistance weakens. What once felt immovable starts to give way. The delays, the detours, the walls you've run into time and again, they start to dissolve. Not with a bang, but with a strange kind of grace. You're not pushing as hard, yet progress feels smoother. It's as if the universe has cleared a path just wide enough for your next step. This is how you know the door you've walked through is real. Not because the path is without challenge, but because the struggle begins to shift. The obstacles that once required all your energy to overcome begin to shrink. Conversations that used to end in misunderstanding start to bring clarity. The resources you lacked start to show up without the hustle. And perhaps most powerfully, the internal blocks, the doubt, fear, guilt, hesitation, start to loosen their grip. It's not that you've become perfect. It's that alignment has replaced resistance. The flow has begun. But don't mistake this ease for coincidence. It's not that life has suddenly become effortless. It's that you are finally in rhythm with something greater than you. The moment you begin walking through the door, the universe has opened. You're no longer swimming upstream. You're being carried, not in passivity, but in harmony. That's why the pressure fades and the path becomes clearer. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. What was once locked is now unlocking, because your soul is aligned with where it's meant to be. When doors you never imagined begin to open, the world starts to cooperate. Not blindly, not all at once, but in unmistakable ways. The traffic clears, the meeting happens, the timing aligns. The wall that held you back for years crumbles in a single moment of clarity, and what was once a source of struggle becomes a stepping stone. This is not luck. This is a sign. Obstacles don't vanish because the journey is over. They fall because the door has been opened and you finally walk through it. Number 3, when obstacles begin to fall away and life moves with a rhythm you didn't create, something deeper starts to unfold. You realize that what's guiding you isn't just chance or effort. It's something sacred. The door that opened wasn't unlocked by logic, and the way forward isn't illuminated by certainty. It's illuminated by faith, and not the kind of faith that demands guarantees, but the kind that learns to walk without them. This is where your inner world begins to transform. At first, uncertainty still lingers. You look around and wonder if you're really supposed to be here. Everything feels new, untested, alive. The temptation is to retreat to what you know, to seek confirmation before commitment, but something within you refuses to turn back. That quiet nudge, that pull in your chest, it grows stronger. You may not have the whole picture, but you've been given enough light for the next step, and somehow, that becomes enough. This is where faith becomes more than a word. It becomes your posture, your compass. You begin to move not because you see the outcome, but because you trust the source. The unknown no longer paralyzes you. Instead, it humbles you. It makes room for presence, for surrender, for listening. You don't have to figure it all out. You only have to keep saying yes. Yes to the moment. Yes to the process. Yes to the mystery of where you're being led. And as you walk forward, something unexpected happens. The fear doesn't disappear, but it no longer has power over you. You're no longer asking, what if this doesn't work? You're asking, what if this leads me to who I was always meant to be? That shift, subtle but seismic, is how you know you're walking through a door the universe opened. Because faith only grows in spaces where sight is limited. And when the universe invites you into the unknown, it also equips you with the strength to keep going. The door you never imagined will often lead you into territory you can't fully explain. But that's exactly how it was meant to be. Not so you can control the outcome, but so you can deepen your trust. So you can learn that the same force that opened the door is walking with you through it. When that becomes real, your faith is no longer a concept. It's a living bridge between where you are and where the universe is taking you. And the more you walk, the stronger it becomes. Number 4, as your faith deepens in the unknown, and you continue walking through doors you never imagined, a quiet transformation begins to take shape. Not around you, but within you. You start to see life through a different lens. What once looked like chaos now feels like precision. What once felt like loss begins to look like liberation. This shift doesn't arrive with fanfare. It settles in gradually, like dawn breaking through the night. And suddenly, the world hasn't changed. You have. The things you once chased no longer hold the same weight. Success, validation, control. What used to seem urgent now feels secondary. You begin to value peace over performance, authenticity over approval. Your energy no longer scatters in all directions. It focuses, refines. You start noticing patterns that were always there, but hidden by distraction. The right conversation at the right moment. The sign you would have overlooked before. You're not just seeing differently, you're seeing clearly. That clarity doesn't mean life becomes predictable. If anything, it becomes more mysterious. But instead of resisting the unknown, you start to welcome it. Because now you know the doors you never imagined weren't just openings to new opportunities. They were mirrors showing you who you truly are. And once you see yourself through the eyes of expansion, you can't go back to shrinking to fit your old reality. The shift in perspective is not temporary. It's a recalibration of what you believe is possible. This is how the universe prepares you, not just to receive what's next, but to sustain it. A new perspective becomes the foundation on which a new life is built. And with every step, you're not just walking into a bigger world, you're becoming someone who belongs there. That's the real sign. Not only that a door has opened, but that you've become the version of yourself who can walk through it fully awake, fully ready, and fully alive. Number 5. Once your perspective shifts, the noise of striving softens, and in that newfound stillness, something unexpected begins to rise. Not in a shout, not in a flash, but like a slow warmth building in the chest. A quiet joy. It's not tied to outcomes or external wins. It isn't dependent on certainty, approval, or everything going as planned. This joy emerges from a place deeper than circumstance. It's the joy of knowing you are exactly where you need to be. You begin to feel light even in uncertain spaces. The road may be unclear, but you no longer need clarity to feel peace. You find yourself waking up with a sense of calm that doesn't have a name, smiling without needing a reason. The joy isn't performative. It doesn't need to prove itself. It's simply there, like a steady presence walking beside you. And that's how you know a door has truly opened, not just in your life, but in your spirit. This joy is evidence that you've crossed some invisible threshold. You're no longer waiting to be chosen, saved, or validated. You've remembered what was always true, that you are already aligned with something greater. That joy, subtle as it may seem, is a signal that you've let go of the version of yourself that needed constant reassurance. It means your soul is resting, not because the journey is over, but because it finally trusts the direction. That's what happens when the universe opens doors you never imagined. You don't just receive a new opportunity, you receive a new state of being. And joy is the fruit of that transformation. A quiet, unwavering joy that doesn't rise and fall with circumstances. It stays. It holds you. It reminds you again and again that you're not chasing miracles anymore. You're walking inside one. In conclusion, when the universe opens doors you never imagined, it doesn't always feel like an arrival. More often, it feels like a quiet awakening, one you don't fully notice until you've already stepped through. You look around and realize you're standing in a life you couldn't have predicted, shaped by choices you made on instinct, faith, and trust. You recognize that something beyond logic guided you here. And while nothing may be exactly how you planned, everything feels strangely right. These signs, the unfamiliar opportunities, the dissolving of obstacles, the deepening of faith, the shift in perspective, and the quiet joy, are not separate events. They're a sequence, a rhythm, a language the universe uses to tell you it's time. Time to release the old map. Time to honor the pull towards something more. When all 5 converge, know this: you are not lost, nor are you late. You are precisely on schedule for a destiny bigger than the one you envisioned. But you must choose to walk through. Doors don't demand, they invite. They require presence, not perfection, courage, not clarity. And though the path beyond them may not always be easy, it will be aligned. Every step will teach you more about who you truly are and what you are capable of. Because the doors you never imagined aren't just access points to new chapters. They are thresholds into your own becoming. So, if life has started speaking in whispers, if the old rhythms no longer fit, if something deep inside you knows a shift is near, listen. You're not imagining it. The signs are real. The door is open. And what awaits beyond it is not just possibility. It's purpose, woven into the fabric of your soul before you even knew to look. Trust it. Step through and watch how everything begins to unfold.